Lead Well, Live Whole, the podcast where leadership meets life. Your host, Michael Sermon, is here to help you rise above the noise, lead with purpose, and live with clarity. Let's get to it.
Welcome back, friends, to the Lead Well, Live Whole podcast. I'm your host, Michael Sermon, and today we're going to talk about something that every leader, every entrepreneur, every human who deals with responsibility needs to hear. Stop overpromising. Let me say that again. Stop overpromising. It's tempting. It's easy. It often feels like the right thing in the moment, but it slowly erodes your trust, your peace, and your leadership reputation. I'm telling you, this is probably one of my biggest weaknesses. As a leader, as a person, we want to be accepted, we want to be liked, we want to be the solution to the problems. So as a result, we often say yes when we should say no. We commit to something without looking at our calendars. And then next thing you know, we start letting stuff go. We start letting our team down. We start missing meetings. We start running ragged. We start pulling our hair out. We start imploding. So again, stop overpromising, because you are destroying yourself. You're destroying your reputation. You are destroying your ability to build and lead a team, because you need people to trust that you are going to be who you say you're going to be. You're going to do what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it. So that means be honest about what you can deliver and when. Your word is your credibility. Protect it. Your word is currency. In fact, this is so important that one of my bosses that I had, a really great man, but he really preached that if you commit to something, you do it. And I remember one day I was in my office and I was getting ready to jump on a call. And he came in the door and he shut the door and he said, "Let the butt chewing commence." I looked at him and I said, "You have X number of minutes because I'm about to jump on a call. And that guy I report to says that is the most important thing that you can do. If you commit to it, do it." And he kind of stepped back and he looked at me and he said, "When you finish, come see me." I admired that about him, because it would have been easy for him to say, "Forget that. What I want to do right now is more important." But what he valued was his credibility. What he valued was preaching or walking what he preached. And he lived it out in that moment. Now, after I finished my call, I went to his office and we had the conversation that we needed to have. And I went back and I had adjusted the issues that he had seen. So let's unpack why it matters and how you need to stop the cycle of overpromising. First of all, why do we overpromise? You ever stop and think about the root behind it all? What is the root of overpromising? Most of the time, it's not because we're trying to be perceptive. Not because we're trying to be deceptive. Right? We don't intentionally try to deceive anyone or mislead anyone, but we do it because we want to help. We do it because we want to be seen as reliable. We overpromise because we want to avoid conflict. We overpromise because we want to close the deal. Or sometimes we're just really, really bad at estimating our own bandwidth. And as a leader, one thing I can tell you is you do not own your own calendar most of the time. Your team, the people you are serving, own your calendar. Your bosses own your calendar. And the higher you go in the ranks, the closer you get to that elusive CEO spot, the more other people are going to own your calendar. And what we do often is we will overcommit by promising to do something, and something else will jump in or get thrown in on us, and now we're scrambling trying to figure out how we're going to get both done. And we end up working until 9 or 10 o'clock every night. We end up working on Saturdays. We end up working on Sundays. We end up working on our anniversaries and on holidays. just trying to keep up with all of this crap that has got put on us and stuff that we agreed to do. We're not superheroes. We're not individuals or people who are supposed to be the solution to every issue. We're not supposed to be the answer to every problem. We're not supposed to be anyone's savior. We are supposed to look at where we're going, look at what our commitments are, and then honor those commitments and understand our own bandwidth. We overpromise, or our aspect of overpromising, it's an emotional thing. It's an impulsive thing. And sometimes, if we're honest, it's because it feels noble. I had a director when I worked at a gauge manufacturing company. And one day we're talking, and we were talking about, the giving. And part of this is giving your time and committing your resources to getting something done. And he said, I actually said something that really shocked me. He said, people look at you and they look at us and they think we give and we do, and we do it altruistically and we don't expect anything out of it. But the reality is we do expect something out of it. We expect to feel better about ourselves. We expect to feel noble in some form or some way. He said, so no matter what you're doing, no matter how pure your motives are, that feeling that you get, that return that you get, is still going to compel you to overcommit or to give more than what you can afford to give at that moment. And I remember at the time I thought, that's really not true. But that's 20 plus years ago. And I've come to realize that was very true. Our heart is in the right place. Our heart and our emotions are saying, I want to help and I want to do and I want to relieve this person of this burden or of this load or whatever it may be, because I want to help them and I want to be part of something and I want to feel good about that something that I'm part of. But here's the absolute truth behind all that. Intentions will never outweigh outcomes. Growing up, one of the things that I heard all the time is that the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And I know leading teams, it doesn't matter what I intended to do. All my team knew and felt and lived was what I actually did. So if I committed to do something with the people that I'm called to serve and the people that are relying on me and I don't do it, it doesn't matter how good intentioned I was going into it. It doesn't matter how kind I was going into it. It doesn't matter how apologetic I was going or coming out of it. Because the kindest heart in the world will not overcome the fact that people cannot trust you, that people cannot have faith in you. Because if your yes isn't a yes and your no isn't a no, then you have no foundation to work from. In fact, even the Bible tells us, let our yes be yes and our no be no. Not to be double-minded, not to try to be everything to everyone because we want to be seen in a certain light. Because what we have to understand that there is a cost when we overpromise, and it is a high cost. So let's talk about what's really at stake when you overpromise. Number one, you lose credibility. People begin to question if they can rely on your word. Don't underestimate the value of your credibility. Don't underestimate your ability to impact the organization, the team, the agenda, the goal, the process, whatever it may be. as a leader, you have the ability to either be the oil that keeps it flowing or the sand that grinds everything to a halt. And if people begin to question if they can rely on your word, if people begin to question your honesty and your sincerity, then they begin to make alternate plans, or they begin to start doing work outside of a system just to protect a broken system that should rely on you. But because you can't be relied upon, because you have no credibility, people begin to question. It's at work, it's at home, it's with your children, it's wherever it may be, whatever group you're associated with. If you tell your children over and over and over again that I'm going to be there for the game, or I'm going to be there for this, or I'm going to be there for that, and you never show up, eventually they know they can't trust you. And if they can't trust you, that means they can't trust anyone else, because they're basing their future relationships, they're basing their future expectations of humanity off of you. Your team is basing their commitment and their drive and their input into the processes on you. Folks, this is huge. This is a bigger issue than most of us realize. And I think that for me, it goes beyond just saying, hey, I'm going to be there to do this, or I'm going to take care of that. I think when you set a meeting and you say, hey, this meeting is an hour, and everybody commits that hour to it, and you continuously or consistently pull everybody into that hour meeting and end up taking 2 hours or 3 hours with no regard for their time whatsoever, they can't trust you to honor their time. They can't trust you to honor their commitments. The second thing that in the cost of overpromising is you create confusion. Your job as a leader is to clarify. Your job as a leader is to remove roadblocks. Your job as a leader is to ease the confusion and the chaos and keep everyone together, aimed at the same goal. But if your team, if your customers, if your children or your spouse or even your dog can't understand when and where you're going to do whatever it is you've promised to do, if they don't know what to expect or when to expect it, they're going to be confused. And if they're confused, they're always going to hold back. They're always going to keep something in reserve, because they're going to have to deal with your crap when everything falls apart. And believe me, it is your fault. It is my fault. If we can't clearly communicate and commit to something with our teams and to our teams, and then the team doesn't do what's needed because they're still relying on us, then folks, we're the problem. We are the problem, and we have to fix ourselves first. That's why these foundational issues that I keep talking about are so important. And I'm passionate about this one because one, it's an issue for me. So when I'm sitting here and I'm pointing like a preacher, right? If one finger's pointing out, there's 4 pointing back at me, because I know this is something that I continually have to work on. Now, once that confusion sets in and once people begin to pull back, you know what? The next thing that comes out of it is we breed frustration. We cause the turmoil. We take the people who should be committing all of their time and all of their energy and all their effort into satisfying the customer, into reaching the goal, into building that plant, running that process, keeping everyone safe, whatever it may be. We cause frustration, and now they're spending energy and they're spending effort trying to manage that within themselves and trying to manage that frustration within their team. And that shows up because deadlines shift, expectations begin to crumble, trust fades, And I'm telling you that when the frustration shows up, when the confusion shows up, if it's not taken care of and it's not managed, then it starts showing up in safety issues. It starts showing up in attendance issues. It starts showing up in turnover issues. It starts showing up in quality issues. Guys, these foundational principles affect every aspect of what you're trying to do. And the little things that normally are just blown over suddenly become these battle cries, and you're spending all of your time now trying to deal with people's fussing and fighting. They're coming into your office wanting to download or wanting to tell you what's wrong with this person or what's wrong with that person and why everybody else is completely sucky, and they're having to do everybody else's work only for them to leave and the next one come in and say the exact same thing. You know what? All of that's on you. If you're a leader and that's your team, it's on you. You committed to leading the team. You committed to getting clear direction. You committed to removing the chaos. You committed to holding themselves and yourselves accountable. You committed to these things. And if you've overcommitted and can't do it, then step back and figure out what you've committed to and how you're going to adjust. Now, all of that's about them. What about you? You're going to stress yourself out. You're running behind. You're spending all your time explaining delays or creating recovery plans or telling stories or whatever it may be. You're spending all of your time trying to dig yourself out of a credibility deficit. And at the end of the day, the more you dig, the deeper the hole gets. Right? You cannot dig yourself out of a hole. But what you can do is step back, climb out, and say, here's my new foundation. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be real. If I can't commit to you, I'm not going to promise to commit to you. So what I made it a habit of doing, because I knew that when I'm out on the floor or when I'm out at another plant or I'm doing something and people come up and they're talking to me and they say, hey, can you do this or will you do that or can you follow up on this? And I would always just say, yes, I'll do that. But then within just a few steps, I've got another one pulling at me or something else that pulls in or the phone rings or whatever. And I may or may not remember to do that. So I had to establish a pattern. I had to establish a practice that if somebody comes up and they ask me to do something, especially if it's something I have to follow up on, it's, hey, I will do that, but you're going to have to send me an email or you're going to have to send me a text message to remind me because I will not remember it by the time I get to where I'm going. And that became just a part of my process. Because it's easy for people to put their load. It's easy for people to shift the monkey over to you instead of carrying it themselves. It's easy for us to say, yeah, I'll look at that. And then we walk off and we have all this extra load and we're stressed out over it while our team's just sitting back. And when you follow up with them and say, hey, why didn't you do that? Then their answer is easy. Well, I was waiting on you. You said you were going to do this or you said you were going to do that. So to keep from doing that, you have to set some practices in place. You have to set some things that will help you maintain your credibility. Because over time, this will lead to something that I like to call invisible erosion. People may not confront you about it. They may smile and nod, but inside, they've downgraded your word. Inside, you're just no offense to salesmen, but you're that sleazy salesman that hits them up every time they go onto a car lot or every time they go into a furniture store or they go into something where it's a super high pressure sales area. They've downgraded you to that guy or that woman. And that, my friends, is a leadership loss that you cannot afford. Your word, it's your leadership equity. So let me make this incredibly personal for you. In your life, there's probably only a handful of people whose word means something. Right? My wife and I actually were having that conversation today about different ones in the family that when they said, I will be there, or when they said, I'm going to do this at this time, they were there. And it didn't matter what was going on, they were there and they committed to it. But you know what? They also held you to that same standard. These are the people that when they say they show up, they do. When they commit, they follow through. When they say no, you understand it's for a reason because they don't say no lightly. And that's what you want to be as a leader. That's what I want to be as a leader, right? And I don't care if it's a leader of myself or a leader of my pets or of my children or of my household or at a Fortune 100 company. That's who we want to be. Because at the end of the day, people don't trust your title, they trust your word. Think about those men and women that all it takes with them is a handshake and the deal's done. That same leader I was telling you about earlier who came in, who really said honor your word whenever you make a commitment to a meeting. He and I have had many conversations, and I've seen him strike very high value deals with a handshake. And even if later he came back and realized that, hey, that's not going to go the way I thought it would go, he made a commitment and you stick to it. I have seen leaders that have all the credentials in the world, they have the experience, they have a lot of charisma, but their team can't believe a single thing they say. And because the team can't believe it, none of that other stuff matters. This is going to be kind of crude, but you can polish a turd, but at the end of the day, it's still a turd. So remember this, your word is your equity. Protect it like it's treasure. Be honest about what you can deliver and when you can deliver it. Which means we have to fix a habit of overpromising. And I've told you this is one I struggle with, so this is one I've worked on a lot. And I'm going to share with you some of the practical shifts that I have learned. The first one is to slow your yes. Don't be so quick to say yes. Right? I will respect somebody more if they say, let me think about it, and then come back with a commitment. Because if they're going to commit, if we're going to commit, we have to ask ourselves some questions. The first one is, do I really have the capacity to deliver this? Do I have the tools? Do I have the bandwidth? Is this aligned with our priorities? Right? Because sometimes we'll get asked to do stuff that is like number 100 on the priority list, but because this person is passionate about it, it comes across as a number one priority. We have to understand, do I understand what's really being asked? Because a lot of times, we don't. We commit to stuff thinking it's one thing, only to turn around and it's something else entirely. Because if you think about it, leadership, it's not about having fast answers. It's about having accurate ones. Number 2, leadership shift. Add margin to your timelines. If you think it'll take you 3 days, say it'll take you 5. If you say you'll follow up next week, say I'll follow up by the end of next week. And I'm not trying to build fluff into it, but this gives you space to over-deliver. Because if you end up not over-delivering, you're going to probably end up apologizing. So if I can realistically say, can I have it to you by next Friday? And you say, yes, that's fine. Even if I think I can have it by Tuesday, I'm going to commit to Friday and get it to you by Tuesday. Next shift, say no when you need to. It's not a weakness to say, I can't take that on right now. It's wisdom. It preserves the quality of what you can commit to. What I like to do a lot of times is say, I can do that, but something else has to give. Do you want that before this? And when you do, understand that if I pull that in, the deadline for this other slides out. I've had that conversation millions of times. Well, that's over-exaggeration. Thousands of times in my career. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you are applying wisdom and you're thinking it through. That you are committing to something and you're going to stand by that commitment. The fourth communication or leadership shift really is about communication. This is my biggest pet peeve. If something's going to be late, don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait. Let them know as soon as you know. Hey, I'm behind. Here's why I'm behind. Here's the new deadline. Here's the new timeline. Here's what I'm going to do to make it right. If they have to have it sooner, or if they have to have it by a certain time, this is what it will take to get that done by this time. This is what moves. This is what shifts. It's honesty. It's not building excuses. It's about being honest, which will build trust far more quickly than just fake punctuality. So what you say versus what you show is really what leadership is. It's what you consistently show, how you persistently perform, how you consistently deliver. People are watching to see, do your actions match your words? Do you follow through? Do you say, I'll handle it, and then just disappear? Do you make promises in meetings and then break them in silence? The people around you are taking notes. Your team is taking notes, not on your intentions, but on your integrity. And integrity isn't proven by what you want to do. It isn't proven by what you say you're going to do. It's proven by what you actually do. So all the smiles, all the jokes, all the playing around, and all the Mr. Nice Guy won't matter if people can't rely on you to do what you say you're going to do. And then when you get it wrong, because you're going to get it wrong sometimes. You're going to drop the ball. We all drop the ball. We all overpromise at times. But as soon as we realize it, as soon as we know it, we own it. We own it 100%. We own it fully. We don't try to spin it. We don't blame. We just trust. I mean, we just walk and show the trust we have in that other individual and say, look, I said I'd do this and I didn't. That's 100% on me. And another pet peeve of mine, please do not come back and say, my bad. Own it. This is on me. This is what I'm going to do to fix it. I'm going to make it right. I'm going to rebuild that bridge with that person or with that customer or with that company or whatever it may be. And I'm going to offer a solution to recover, and I'm going to reset the expectations. And then once I have done that, then that failure spot becomes my new pivot point. It's not a pattern now, right? It's not a get out of jail free every time. But I do understand this. People don't expect perfection, but they do expect ownership. And it doesn't matter if you apologize and make it right every time. If you fail every time, they're going to go to somebody else. But there's a better way to lead. That's the good news of all of this. When you stop overpromising, there's some beautiful things that start to happen. You create space to actually deliver excellent work. You earn a reputation as someone who's reliable, grounded, and intentional. You sleep better because your yes is sustainable. And you give your team permission to do the same. It's not about productivity. It's about peace. And peace leads to wholeness. And wholeness, that's the root of long-term leadership success. So here's what I want to leave you with today. 1, be honest about what you can deliver and when. 2, stop giving away your word like it's cheap. 3, protect your credibility. It's easier to maintain it than to repair it. Please don't be a leader who impresses up front and then disappoints on the back end. Be the leader who underpromises and overdelivers, who builds trust one decision at a time, who leads with clarity, not with clutter. Folks, that's it for today. If this hits home with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper into the values-driven, emotionally grounded, high-impact leadership, grab your copy of Lead Well, Live Whole, and Eagle Leadership. They're both available on Amazon. Until next time, remember, don't lead from pressure, lead from purpose. Don't lead from promises, lead from principles. This is Lead Well, Live Whole, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on Lead Well, Live Whole. If this added value to your journey, share it with a friend and subscribe. Until next time, lead those you serve well and live your life whole.